I think this is a good segue into what I wanted to discuss with the after effects of 228, with the assassination, the Iran war, the
On the
effects it
region.
has on the region.
Yeah.
That the issue here is that by the time we got to recording this, the war is over, and the effects on the region are very
Thus is
clear right
life.
now. The
Yeah.
end of U.S. dominance in the Persian Gulf, the the necessity of the U.S. state at this moment to reinforce their their fortress in the Pacific Rim. And I think you're seeing this with the Indonesian arms deal that was signed yesterday by Pete Hegseth. Um, Before we kind of get into the nitty
Arms deal?
gritty,
Was it an arms deal?
arms deal.
Okay.
I think the effects of the assassination on Iran, I think we already know. If we talked about this, if this had been a natural death 10 years from now, we would have seen the new supreme leader in Iran be someone who's much older and not aligned with the military, the IRGC. Maybe maybe is softer on the internal merchant class and the external Western imperial class than what we saw Ayatollah Khamenei, even though you can say in retrospect that was pretty soft.
And in a way, it's a reversal of the Khatemization of this liberalization within Iran, and now there's a consolidation behind the state, behind the revolutionary nature of the state. I think a lot of the Iranian people who maybe were tired of the idea of being in this Islamic Republic with sanctions and this and that now are realizing, oh, wait a sec, this is why.
This is
You
and
know.
this is why Mujtaba Khamenei had to be the new supreme leader, regardless. Only
Right.
made possible by this. But if you are looking at statecraft and how states form, state formation, there is no way to bring coherence here, whether the assassination happened or not. There will be no way to bring coherence to the state project unless the IRGC and the ulama class were able to reconcile, not that they had a rift, reconcile the obvious contradiction of who's going to be running this country moving forward in a manner that is not counter-revolutionary completely.
Given the fact that Sayyid Mujtaba Khamenei, his background, aside from being a scholar and a theologian, is with
The IRGC,
the Revolutionary Guards.
I believe he has had a significant role in surveillance. I believe he is.
Military intelligence.
I'm not exactly sure about if he's
Okay.
has been a part of that. I know he has been the main. He has been involved with that at least since the Green Revolution, I believe. I might be mistaken.
2009.
Yeah. I think this is this whole this shift was made possible by this, and this now is the actual beginning of the Iranian regime, the Iranian Islamic regime of Iran. What was going on till now was a revolution that you might have told me before. You pointed out lacked the cultural revolutionary aspect of it because of the Iran-Iraq war and then the fall of the USSR right on the border of Iran. I think this has cemented this, and now what the state does is the actual going to be the what makes the identity of Iran. This is the formation now. I have always talked about this in a way where like you can juxtapose a human body with human society, and I feel like the human body, the human spirit. When you're 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, you like certain foods, you don't like certain foods. You know you shouldn't lie. You shouldn't compromise on different things of dignity.
Right.
Someone tells you to mop the floor, you don't want to, you don't do it. But in your defense, quote unquote, or in lieu of defending whatever you consider yours or you change over the next 20, 30 years. From the age of 6 to the age of 36, you are a different person. You're a new person. That is your identity, not what you started with. And the foundation can be set there. You can have the right principles set within you, but what you do in your defense in the real world, that's what makes you you. And in this case, what we were seeing through the leadership of the first two supreme leaders, that was the foundation being set. Now we're gonna see over the next quarter century, hopefully, the role of the Islamic regime in Iran, not defending the revolution, but actually exporting the revolution more than they have. I know they have had supported resistance across the board, this is going to be the actual full actualization. This is the full actualization of what the project could have been if Iran-Iraq war didn't happen or the fall of USSR didn't happen. This would have been what the 80s looked like.
The social and cultural consolidation of the revolution, which will then allow, for sure. That's what was hampered by the Iraq War, right? So what I was saying that day was that the revolution, as envisioned by Imam Khomeini, never really got to fully pan out because it was interrupted by Saddam's invasion. And one of the things that didn't get to fully pan out was the cultural, social, intellectual revolution among the society, among the populace.
All this is really like debriefed the movement a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's what the movement?
Debriefed it.
Yeah.
And like it's put a lot of things back into perspective. And now, since you have priorities, right? Things are actually going down, for lack of better terms. You have to actually like prioritize certain issues over more pettier social
aesthetics
issues, right? Which would still be important to a citizen when there's nothing going on.
Yeah.
But when there's actually like
when you see how dire the situation is,
okay, this resistance is actually still very much alive. That changes things. And that will consolidate a lot of the issues that I think were there before.
And Iranians of all walks of life and all stripes are on the streets every night protesting in favor of the government. Because they understand now the folks who did the revolution in the first place in 79, and then the folks who held it down during the Iraqi invasion of Iran, they're older now. The younger generation doesn't remember that struggle, doesn't remember that revolutionary ethos. Like you're saying, this is reviving that. Now these younger generation folks who may have been turned off by the revolution due to Western propaganda, due to sanctions, due to whatever, are now understanding, oh, okay, this is what my grandfather died for in the Iraq-Iran war.
Before, I guess we move on, I think, to, whatever, the rest of the docket. I think when you talked earlier about the critical analyses, if you had not considered if you are a subscriber of the system or just sympathetic to Shia leadership overall, and don't subscribe to it as your own, if you have a keen interest in the subject matter, you should be able to deduce what the state's prerogative is and what figure will fulfill it. So if you had not considered at the age of 86 and you were sympathetic to or supporter of Ayatollah Khamenei that, hey, when this man leaves this earth, what's going to happen? Who's going to be the next guy? And if you were not able to deduce that it has to be someone like Mujtaba Khamenei, there is no other way around this, frankly speaking. That's a good way to start it. Like, hey, what could I do to be able to analyze these maybe things post the fact and understand why it's important for a state to do certain things that might not make sense otherwise. And I think that transition is completely, going into what we are talking about is the after effects of this. And I think we can get into the after effects, not of the assassination, but actually of these whole 2-month soap opera now that Trump has made. He's beefing with the Pope. He's beefing with, like, example.
Tell me more about this. I have not read at all about this. He's beefing with the Pope.
I think the Pope said, if I'm not mistaken, the Pope said, something about, hey, these wars are bad. Like, I don't want to put words in his mouth. Maybe it was a very strong statement or whatever. But basically, he was like, hey, what Trump is doing is not good. I don't know if he directly said that. And so Trump took the jab to his ego, and he went off on the Pope. And I think what did he say? He was something like, yeah, he should just like.
He said he's weak on crime.
He's weak. Yeah. He was like the Pope is weak on crime. Actually, you know what? Hold on. Wait. Let's pull this up.
I think he said this thing. He's like something about him being a catalyst for Chicago gang crime. And it's like, Chicago. Yo, is the Pope like friends with King Von? Like, what are you talking about? The Pope is in like bed with who?
Lil Pope.
Yeah. Love Pop.
He's big Pope now. Yeah.
Love Popa.
Love Popa. Let's see.
I'm sorry, I had to.
Statement.
I think just to summarize what we have been able to parse through about what's been going on in the past 2 months, because there's so many different streams of information, and a lot of times people here do not have access to information in other languages. It could be Arabic, Urdu, or Hindi, and in this case, Urdu and Hindi are the pertinent ones given the events of the past 2 weeks. To kick things off, I think about 2 Fridays ago, after having his ass kicked completely, Trump tweeted out something about ending the Iranian civilization. That is after maybe about a month or so of Iran's hypersonic missiles chasing the U.S. carriers, U.S. defenses out of the region, bombing bases. I think the number was 13, if I'm not mistaken, 13 bases in that region that are now defunct. And all doing this while simultaneously, I think what they've, this is an assumption, and a lot of this is going to be conjecture because no one's publishing this as a white paper. They have combined their hypersonic missile technology, which they have had for upwards of 15 years now, with this 5th generation warfare technology that China has developed and that has been tested over the past year. This 5th generation technology is, when you get into it, we might try to link a video that shows cases some of the technology.
We should, yeah.
It is insane. It's this technology came to the forefront of the world last year when India invaded Pakistan, or did a special operation in Pakistan, whatever you want to call it. The operation failed, and I guess ended up doing surgery on itself because of successful SAR, full support. Because
5,000-year culture SAR.
Yeah, 15,000-year culture SAR. But basically, because of how that transpired for India, I think they had 6 or 7 planes shot down, including French Rafales. 7. I know 7 planes, and I'm not sure how many of them were Rafales. I know the total fleet is around 30 to 40. We'll get it. To give some context, Rafales are a specific pain point for India because when the Modi government came in 2014, one of the first big controversies was the buying of these Rafales from the French at inflated prices, and a lot of money made by middlemen, by the defense contractors, by the arms dealers. And the first criticism before any of this was, hey, why'd you buy these overpriced planes? And the justification was these are state of the art. Well,
they crashed one literally like weeks later at like an air show too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that was the Raphael too.
State of the art. It's an antique art.
And then I think Modi was like, oh, they were defective Raphaels or something.
Well, they denied it. They initially denied it, but I think slowly, they just let the information trickle out before and just soft it. It's like this, like a soft landing for the information. But I guess the international community, the response to it, not community meaning us four right here in this room. By community, I people who want to procure arms. It really piqued their interest. And since these jets are Chinese, the JA-10, the JF-17 Thunder were the ones that were used last year. China agreed after that to sell J-35s, which are their export, J-35E, I believe.
That's their state-of-the-art.
That's their export version of their state-of-the-art. That's the export version of it. They agreed to sell that to Pakistan now. Field Marshal Asim Munir, and you're hearing the name a lot these days, specifically from Trump, and I feel like there's something going on. Something
bromance.
Someone has pictures on somebody, and you
said his name. Now you just summoned one of our friends. He's probably like on his way here at this point.
Oh, we need it. Yeah, he needs to sing the song.
Oh, we'll try to. We'll see if we can add it at the end.
Yeah.
I have plenty of clips of it. He sent me.
Yeah.
He sent me enough
Well, I mean, the long story short, Field Marshal Asim Munir, full support SAR. Huh?
You said it again.
Around this time, I think the strategy made, and I think right now it's safe to say that this strategy is a one-man show in Pakistan. This is not going through parliament. This is not going through any elected body, and for good reason. It should not. Asim Munir proceeded over the course of the rest of the last year to sell these J-10 and J-17 Thunders to Libya, Sudan, Somalia, Azerbaijan, and Indonesia. And I'm sure that I think a lot of these deals were brokered by Saudi.
So he's getting the brand new state-of-the-art models from China. The fleet that he has already, what do I do with them? Ends up selling them to a lot of different Muslim countries.
Yeah. The issue here is in December when they made the deal, and I think that was Libya. I believe, and I might be mistaken, again, a lot of conjecture, and Libya is under some kind of provisions of the UN where you can't give weaponry of that sort. He flew in personally, and the weaponry was delivered. The issue arose because since Pakistan has played this role of trying to be friends with everyone, but also, the UAE, there's a lot of Pakistani money stashed in the UAE. And the UAE is also backing the terrorists that these governments procured weapons to fight off in Sudan and Libya specifically with the RSF. Now, it has been clear the past few years that the main adversary for Saudi in the region, not including Iran, is UAE. The UAE is fighting above its weight and losing, rightfully so. Has no indigenous population. I think half of it's Indian. Percentage-wise, no standing army of its own to really to have a defense of anything. And they proceeded for the past 40 years to destabilize countries, primarily in Muslim countries, across the region, from Sudan, from Libya to Pakistan.
Yemen, yeah.
If I know there's a movie that is really famous, Durandar is a really famous movie, and is based on the Liari gang war. The Liari gang war was being funded by the UAE.
Is that in the movie?
No. The RSF in Sudan being funded by the UAE, and I think we've all heard stories about Libya and the slave markets and the overall anarchism there.
Separatists in Yemen.
Funded by the UAE.
Yeah.
And the UAE has found its way to actually be more hated than Israel some days, honestly. And I think one of the best things about this whole situation is I think this has spelled the end of the UAE. With the closure of the Strait of Hormuz immediately after the war, I guess, caught wind, war flames caught wind, the Strait of Hormuz closure affects no one more than UAE. That port, that artificial port that they've created there, that has no, before the 70s, before the 80s, that had no bearing on international trade. They thought that this was some event that would really hearken the world to get in line and defend the UAE. All they were really able to do was, I guess, maybe get some tweets from Andrew Tate on how bad this is for Dubai. Overall, I think this is the start of the end of the United Arab Emirates. They will go kicking and screaming. You're seeing a nexus form. The UAE and Israel already aligned quite a bit. The UAE and India and the UK. Now, what are these four players bringing into the game? Yes. What are these four players bringing into the game? The financing, obviously. I mean, the UAE is the most disposable of these members, but the finance, the labor, the nuclear from India, and then the control of ports across the world by the British. Important choke points from Falklands to Gibraltar. And really trying to have a counter nexus to what looks like is a formation of a proto-Muslim NATO. Flash forward, and I guess
Muslim proto-NATO.
We'll get into that. Yeah, a Muslim proto-NATO would be a proper way of putting it. When this whole thing is transpiring with the UAE, I think with this the start of hostilities between Iran, Israel, and the U.S. on March 19th in Riyadh, they had a meeting. In that meeting with Saudi, Qatar, UAE, Kuwait, and Pakistan, the MO was we want to diffuse these Iranian attacks on GCC bases by condemning Iran and saying, hey, we stand in unison. I think the already tense relationship between the UAE and Pakistan spilled over there, specifically when the UAE, when Pakistan's main contention was if you were to release a statement condemning Iranian attacks, you first have to also address the fact that Israel and America started this war as the statement. I think that was followed by the UAE's demand of their security deposit, which is, I think, about $4 billion that they had given to Pakistan in 1995. They demanded that, or the handing over of Noor Khan Air Base in Pakistan. This is south of Islamabad, about 20 minutes from Adiala jail where Imran Khan's sitting right now.
So the UAE, Pakistan owed the UAE $4 billion from back in the day, and they basically demanded it back.
Yeah,
because Pakistan was unwilling to.
Unless they agreed to three demands. One was to stop the shipment in Karachi and Gwadar of the ships that are being rerouted to Pakistan. Stop that. Why they would do that, God knows. The second was escorting the Pakistani, the UAE vessels out of the Strait of Hormuz. Pakistan needs to do that. And the third was letting Noor Khan Air Base be used in Pakistan for the Americans to launch missions into Iran. We'll come back to the second point about the escorting of vessels because that's the most important thing right now. Pakistan said no. Saudi fronted the money. They gave the money back. Now, this is all within the past 3 weeks, so we're getting closer to today. Or it's going down on Thursday this week. The money was fronted by the UAE and Qatar, and Pakistan was able to pay it off, and they said thank you, goodbye. And at the same time, on Friday, when we're coming back to it, on Friday when Trump said, hey, we're going to bomb this civilization back into Stone Age or something along those lines. I think that's where this discussion started going on. And within a few hours, the talks in Islamabad were discussed, even though obviously there was back channeling going on from prior to, and you can tell by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Pakistan, how they had deployed their personnel across the globe. What the talks comprised of and who are the people who were in the talks last weekend now. So again, we're very much close to this Thursday. The Iranian delegation comprised of, I can't say his name properly.
The Speaker of the Parliament, Mohammad Bakr Ghalibaf.
The Foreign Minister, Abbas Araghchi. I believe there was a member of the military intelligence, former veterans. All of them actually are former veterans. And I think for the Araghchi's case, he's also a former IRGC and Quds Force member. Even though there is a lot of, obviously, it's hard right now in Iran to be a reformist. That being said, a lot of people like to paint Araghchi as a reformist, even though, again, I wouldn't put him in the same class as Khatami. Or
I don't think there's a hard dichotomy between principlist and reformist. There's a lot of, it's very mutable. Even within the two camps, there are
these talks that happened this last Friday that started off the discussion. The U.S. is back channeling, trying to get these discussions going because they have lost. They lost, and they needed to get these guys to the table who are winning the war. The 10 points that were exchanged at that time, there was 15 points on the U.S. side. They exchanged it. And when they met, now these delegations, I think the U.S. delegation comprised of Jared Kushner, Steve Witkoff, and led by the Vice President, J.D. Vance. You should notice in both camps, they're monitoring their own people. J.D. Vance, who is an anti-Iran war and a presumptive presidential candidate in 2028, and might overshadow Trump right now, who is living in La La Land and might even foresee a third term. They needed to make sure he doesn't make a deal over the head of Kushner. Or not over the head of Kushner, over the head of Israel. So they sent Kushner and Witkoff with him. And with Iran, want to make sure that they stay away from the same issues that they faced with JCPOA 1 and presumptive JCPOA 2, even though that never came to fruition. Iran's delegation is accompanied by China and Russia last weekend. The U.S. delegation by Saudi and Qatar. Saudi was asked for instead of the UAE by Iran.
Iran asked the United States to
told
told the United
Told
States
Pakistan.
told Pakistan
that they don't want the UAE
They don't
there.
want the
They rather
UAE,
have Saudi.
okay, yeah.
Now, who else would rather have not have UAE but Saudi there?
Pakistan. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, if you want that, it's great.
Right.
From the UN side, they have China and Russia. And now
From the
in this
Iranian
dynamic
side,
of the
yeah.
arms deal, let's go back to that. The weapon is being made in China, is being sold to Pakistan, who's then reselling either the weapon itself or the defense from the weapon across the region, from Sudan, Somalia, Libya to Indonesia and Saudi and Qatar and UAE even to an extent. So in the room on both sides are these guys, the guy selling it, the guy buying it, the guy who's going to buy it later, and they're now they know that there is a compromised empire in the room ready to make a deal. And they know that Iran, whether they're winning or not is one thing, but I think it's rebuild. Like if they would be ready right now to take the win and start fortifying, start reorganizing. Not that it's necessary, but obviously there's been an ordeal of the past 2-3 months, and the local population all the way to the supreme leader has been affected. His whole family died in this. I'm pretty sure, and there's a lot of reports of him being injured, although I don't know if that's true or not. In that room, the 10 points that Iran had give, all of them are okay. What were the three sticking points? The three sticking points: the nuclear enrichment, Lebanon, Hormuz. Obviously, with the Lebanese government the past few months increasing
their negotiations started today.
Lebanese government has been negotiating directly with Israel, and they actually condemned these talks because they wanted to negotiate directly with Israel. That negotiation with Israel is gonna, and I was talking about this last week, and it sounded peculiar. Now I think it's clear now that the ceasefire is announced, or the hostilities have ceased has been announced. The cessation of hostilities
between
Iran and America. It was did I answer that? What was the question that you were answering? You said
I was just clarifying when you were saying the cessation of hostilities, you were talking about Iran and the US or Hezbollah in Lebanon. Or Hezbollah in Israel.
So Hezbollah, I think there's going to be a very the usual Israel doing the Israel stuff here, which is the deal will go through. They'll make the deal with the comprador government and then do operations again, special operations. Yeah. No breaking the ceasefire because we're condoned or we're allowed by the Lebanese government to do what we have to do all the way up to the Litani. That's what their plan is, I would assume, if not further north. Pakistan went into Iran on Friday with fighter jets, escorted the diplomatic, the attaché out of Iran using Chinese and American planes. While they were doing that, they set a no-fly zone in the region. Now, again, this is building up to something. They set a no-fly zone in the region, in Iran, over the Persian Gulf, in an active war zone that they are not participating in and are not in a treaty with any of the countries. For or against, so Israel, Iran, UAE, all of these, whoever's engaged in this, Americans, you can get shot down. Instead of worrying about that, saying there's a no-fly zone, no commercial military transit here. Stationing aerial warning and control vehicles across the air to disrupt radar, disrupt and make sure to negate any missiles being shot at that convoy. And at the same time, as soon as that attaché landed, the deployment of Pakistani fighter jets, Chinese fighter jets used by the Pakistan Air Force, deployed to King Faisal Air Base in Saudi. That is about 250, 300 kilometers. I might be wrong. 300 kilometers is what I might get. I think what my memory might be wrong. 300 kilometers from Israel.
Yeah.
And they announced the new, again, this is happening within a few hours. So this is the same day we're leading up to this. They announced the opening of a new air base on the Iran-Pakistan border on the Persian Gulf, about 30 minutes from Dubai. A 30-minute flight from Dubai, right near Gwadar. And then this also tested a ballistic missile in the Indian Ocean. When the attaché land on Friday night, They did a similar escort of JD Vance on Saturday, and the talks went on for 21 hours. 21 hours. Now, if anyone was to tell you that these two parties were in the room for 21 hours, you should assume immediately the talks are successful. That is the there was
Successful
intent.
as in something was agreed on. Whatever.
These frameworks. This framework that they came up with was the intent of the meeting. So the meeting was not to discuss everything and just sign off. It was more so that the framework is ready and that we can sign off when we meet again. That there was intent to sign that deal when they're in that room for 21 hours straight, right? They took prayer breaks, but that's about it. And they came out saying the usual things that you would expect anyone to say. No one's going to come out saying, hey guys, we lost, so we made a deal with them. If you expect Vance to say that, tough cookies.
No.
And if you thought that Iran's going to come out and say in a winning position that we even gave 1 inch to these guys after what they've done, wouldn't fly. But that's part of diplomacy.
Yeah.
And I think as the weekend went on, when Trump said the talks failed, it's Sunday night. The oil prices, people longed across Shanghai, across Hong Kong, across the East. People went long. People bought the stock. I guess they longed oil futures. They were like, hey, oil prices are going to go up. I'm going to buy stock in this, or whatever the layman way of saying it. I'm a layman myself, so I don't know. And by the time the morning came around, here, when the market's about to open Monday morning, he immediately tweeted out, oh, yeah, by the way, it wasn't good and there might be a deal this week.
Yeah.
So anyone here who immediately stopped paying attention when Vance said there was no deal, on Sunday morning he said there's no deal, everyone stopped paying attention. Monday morning, Trump says the deal actually did happen. It's fine, guys. He rug pulled literally anyone in the East, in East Asia who had bought oil futures, long on oil futures, and it diffused any of the negative press of doing losing a war.
Yeah.
He didn't do it. Vance was the guy in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And by the way, it happened. Okay, it's over. This is that Monday. Now 3 days back, and there might be something happening. The Lebanese issue, I think, resolved itself, or is going to, by default. This Hormuz thing, the proposal that was proposed by Pakistan, in line with Saudi on one side and China on the other, net security provider of the Persian Gulf moving forward will be Pakistan.
Which is great.
Net security provider, and that brings into coherence a lot of the things that we were confused about the past few weeks. Why did Iran take a softer stance towards Azerbaijan, one of the countries that is buying the tech from Pakistan? Why did Pakistan immediately call Iran, even if it was just for just shits and giggles, and say, hey, if you get nuked, we'll nuke Israel, so that the enrichment, which is a pain point, becomes a issue that's mitigated. Now fast forward to today, Tuesday, 1 day later, and I think Trump just tweeted the war is over, America's won.
Yeah.
I think the reports are from Al Arabia. I think I saw earlier 5-6 hours ago that Russia is going to be the party that takes on the enriched uranium from Iran. I think to note that Pakistan also flew the diplomatic attaché back to the south of Iran last weekend. This is all to reinforce in the Iranian mind, the Saudi mind, anyone in the region who they've sold weapons or want to be the net security provider to, that we have the people, we have the technology. Do not worry. We have nukes. You don't need them. We have jets. You don't need them. And we won't even mess with you. Me and Shahir talked about this maybe I think in September. And this had seemed like in the works even last year, and you could already see what's happening right now, because the Iran war was already ongoing to an extent. Yeah. You could see that this was going to be happening. Now it looks like on Thursday everyone's meeting in Islamabad again. It might be some other location, but I think Islamabad is what it looks like right now. And they're saying Trump himself might be there. There's a lot of talk about Pezeshkian obviously going to be there.